Hey everyone, and welcome back. Now, what we're going to talk about is opacity as another property that we can actually modify with Smart Animate. So I kind of have like this glass over here. So I have a rectangle with the subtract is what I've kind of called it. I haven't really renamed these layers, to be honest. And I have the subtract over here. Let's take a look. I'm actually going to take this and bring that over. So what I've done is I'm going to go back just so I can show you. I've taken this rectangle and I'm going to actually just copy and paste it. I'm going to Command C or Control C. I'm going to click on this frame and press the exact same thing, Command V, Control V to paste it. So it's pasted it into this frame. I'm just going to actually put that layer on the back, like on the bottom. You can do that in a couple of ways. You can drag it manually, or you can just right click it and you can send to the back. That's the shortcut on the right. So there we go. We have two identical screens, well, kind of identical. We have the subtract over here and the subtract over here. And this is basically the glass and the water that I've kind of simulated. And now what I've done here is I've basically created opacity, kind of prototype. If you look over here in the pass through, on the design panel that I have open, right here, I have it set to 0. So if I had it set to 50, you'll see that it has 50% opacity, meaning that it's 50% transparent. So if I undo that with Command V, Control V, I can see that now it's entirely transparent. You can't even see it. Even if I drag it around, now it's down there, you can't even see it. So I'm gonna undo that, bring it back. So I have it here. And now you can see that it doesn't exist. Same thing with this one over here. This one, instead, I have it set to 100%. So if I set to 50, you'll see what that looks like, but it's set to 100%. And we want to kind of get a nice transition from something appearing from nothing. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our prototype panel. I have this one named opacity. I have the flow starting point. You can even create a new flow starting point if you wanted to, but we're not going to do that because we want to keep it nice and neat. So I have no interactions set up, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a different type of interaction. I'm going to actually click the whole frame here. And instead of doing like an on click or on drag, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to click this whole frame and I'm going to press the little plus button and drag it to the next frame. And what this is going to open up for me is actually the ability to use something called after delay. So that is the type of interaction. Right now we have it set to on click. So if I click the whole screen, it's going to work, but I don't want that to happen. I want it to automatically happen. So I'm going to click after delay. And here is where you can actually set up the type of interaction or the timing as to how long is it going to take. Is it going to take like 10 seconds from when the screen appears? Is it going to take like 5 seconds? I'm going to just set it to like 2 seconds. So that's 2000. And as you can tell, it's going to opacity. Here we can kind of define the different types of frames. You'll see in the left layers panel, all those different types of frames being selected. But we have it set to opacity over here, the one on the right. And we're actually going to define the interaction here. Once again, we're just going to click Smart Animate. So we have the animation set to Smart Animate, and we'll just leave it at 300 milliseconds. And we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to click this right frame over here, click the plus button and drag it back. And we're going to set it to after delay. We'll set it to 2 seconds. So 2000, and it'll automatically put the milliseconds at the end for you there. And it's already set to Smart Animate. It's already set to 300 milliseconds, and we should have our animation automatically starting and going back and forth nonstop. So let's take a look at what it looks like within our prototype. So we already have it open over here. It does open a new tab for you, so you don't need to constantly click play, but we can click play and it'll bring us there. So where are we? Opacity. So there it is. So you'll see that it's constantly going back and forth. And that's another property that you can actually animate with Smart Animate. You can use opacity as well. And one thing I want you to realize is that something like this, like it doesn't need to be done entirely just with one property at a time. You can combine a lot of these properties together to create some pretty cool things like scale and rotation or scale and position. There's a couple of things you can do here to create some really great UIs that they feel like they're an actual app in your hands. So I want you to think about that as we kind of move forward within the course and we start kind of combining, these properties to create some pretty cool and slick animations. This is our opacity one right here. And like I said, it's going back and forth and you can tell it's disappearing, it's reappearing. That's something else you can do with Smart Animate.